Okay.
Hi.
Hmm. Hello? Hello? Okay, the sound is working. Well, hello everybody to anyone who's watching this. My name is Nicholas Montes. As you can tell, I'm the Teenage Movie Critic. And if you guys cannot tell, today is the last day of my summer vacation. So, to kind of celebrate, to do it a little bit more interesting, I thought we would go ahead and do my tier list, but both of them we'll be doing in one big live stream. I don't know how long this live is gonna be, but I'll get as fast as I can because one tier list has like over 30 movies and the one has like 90 movies. So we'll get this done hopefully in an hour or so. So let's just go ahead and get straight into it. Okay, so we're actually gonna do the new releases first, just because it's a lot better to do it that way because there's less movies. When you go to the other tier list, there's a lot more movies to talk about. Alright, so let's just go ahead and get straight into it. And the first movie that I saw this summer was Flamin' Hot, which it's kind of surprising that this movie worked for me because there's been a lot. I haven't seen the movie yet, but Air and Beanie Bubble, we've gotten all these movies about people that created all these products, and it's movies that are based off of real life. That's not about people that went through terrible things, that went through drugs. It's kind of like when I watch Elvis or Bohemian Rhapsody. It's all about these people that did these terrible things and they had such a terrible life, even though they had successful careers. This one feels exactly like that. Plus, you care about our character, and it's a fun story. I actually never really thought that spice came from Hispanic culture, so, and I even showed it to my family, and they loved it too. So, I'm putting Flamin' Hot in the A tier. I loved Flamin' Hot. I thought it was great. Then we got the what's it called? Oh, I forgot it. I forgot. Oh yeah, Jagged Out. Wait, I think the Jagged Out, I believe. Wait, let me check something real quick. Wait, this is my list right here. Jagged Mind I meant. Jagged Mind. Jagged Mind I thought was very good. You know, it was coming out during Pride Month, as it's about two lesbian girls, and so that was kind of nice. And then it kind of turns into this movie about that she's like taking her memory and she doesn't remember stuff, but she's like falling in love with these two people. And it just does a lot of stuff, but at the same time, it's very well acted. The thrills actually really work, and overall, it's just a really good movie. So I honestly really enjoyed it. Now we have Elemental. Now, when I did my Pixar video, I put this in the B tier. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't necessarily think this, and everyone that's hating on it, I don't understand you. This movie was awesome. I loved Elemental. Just the design of the world and really the characters. The fact that we have a mix of Zootopia and Inside Out mashed in together with one film, where it's like, I look at the world and I think of Zootopia, and when I look at the characters, I think of Inside Out. And so it's like, it had the great combination of that. But even then, it's also a love story. It's also Pixar's first love story. Well, in a way, because you also had WALL-E. And yeah. And so it honestly is one of those films where it's like, this is the film that brought me back into Pixar. Where it's like, yeah, we're getting Elio next year, but am I really excited for it? Not really, but I'm still very excited for the future of Pixar. And if they're going to make more sequels to get more money, I'd buy money for it. So that is what I think of Elemental, but surprisingly, I'm going to put this in the A tier. My Pixar tier list, I put it in the B tier because I don't think it's top tier Pixar, but it is a great film. It's a great summer movie, so I loved it. Now I get The Flash. To everyone that just trashes on The Flash, get out, because let's be honest, The Flash isn't all that bad. It's not that bad at all. Now, I will say it has its clear fair share of issues, but it's not a terrible movie per se. It, of course, has really good action. It has a cool story. It's a nice change of pace to do the Flashpoint Paradox story again. But at the same time, you just want to go back and watch the animated film of this story. Granted, the Batman action, Michael Keaton's version, is good. There's a lot of cool Batman action in this movie, but overall, it is a good movie, so I will put it in the C tier. Not the worst, but it's good. Then we get Extraction 2, which is a movie I was really excited for because it's, the trailers have really done great with all of it. I mean, from the way that the action looks to the way everything is designed, the fact that they had a 14-minute one-shot sequence is still mind-boggling to me. And that scene still lives up. I probably would say that the first Extraction, actually, both of them have both great action movies. They're both really good action movies. As for where I would put it, though, I'd probably put it at maybe in the C tier. Just because I'm not crazy about it like most people are. But I gotta say, for rewatching ability for action sequences, it's pretty rewatchable. Though, I like the action movies that can do characters well and that can do action very well. I think the best example of that would probably be John Wick. Though, I want to see the fourth one, by the way. Anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Next up, we have Stan Lee. The Stan Lee documentary that celebrates himself. I thought it was a good documentary, I kind of knew most of what Stan Lee what Stan Lee's life was like. He was raised in New York. He grew up during the Great Depression, so he didn't have much. He came up with the idea of Spider-Man by looking at a fly on a wall. We know most of his story. So I'm like, what more story? What kind of new story what new part of his story could you tell? They didn't necessarily do that, but I don't care. I still liked the movie. It was still, and I honestly thought it was a nice way to tell a documentary, to have him tell it, instead of other people, documenting what he went through in his life. You actually have video dialogue of him telling his life throughout those other videos that he had when he was alive, and then even building this little set of little cities to represent that's him. It was kind of fun. So as to where I would put it per se, I put it in the B tier. I think it's good. Then we have The Perfect Find, this Gabrielle Union movie that honestly I thought it was good. It was kind of clunky at times, not the best, but honestly, I actually liked it a good bit. I liked the relationship between our two leads, and I liked the message at the end that, this guy grew up without a father, and now they're having a kid, and now he's going to make sure that he knows who his father is. So I thought that was kind of heartfelt. But it did have some issues here and there, but I honestly enjoyed it. So I'm putting it in the C tier. Then we have the Surrounded. This is a Letitia Wright Western movie that takes place a couple years after the Civil War, and she's dressing up to pretend to be a black man. And I thought it was actually a cool story. All the intrigue. The Letitia Wright's performance was really great, and honestly, it's just a film that has all these little pieces that, certain arcs. There's things that were said in the beginning, and then they're paid off in the end. So I just thought it was a brilliant movie. It was very well acted, and it's very well done. So I'm going to put it in the A tier. Then I'm going to put it here. Yeah. Then we got No Hard Feelings, a movie that I thought was pretty good. It was kind of nice to see Jennifer Lawrence in a different type of movie because I'm so used to seeing her as Mystique and all these other action films. I never actually seen her in a comedy. More importantly, a raunchy comedy per se. Actually, hold on. Let me turn my light for a second. There we go. Just seems a little dark in here because it rained today. But, yeah, Jennifer Lawrence, she's really funny in this one. As soon as she starts getting with this kid, it's bananas. It goes crazy. The fact that she actually, beat a bunch of guys naked on a beach, that's pretty crazy to me. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was fun. It was funny. It was predictable at times. It was kind of meh, but honestly, I thought it was fun. So I'm putting in the C tier. Then we got World's Best. For some reason, I could not connect with this one as much. I guess it's just because most of the movie just felt awkward. And this is a Disney Plus original movie. And this was not on my radar. I didn't even know what it was until I saw, it was on my list for movies. And I'm not going to say it's bad, but it's not great. It has a few issues. The singing is pretty good, but even then when the characters are singing, it just sounds corny to me. And I don't know. I couldn't get into it as much like everybody else. I still did like it a little bit, but I couldn't connect. I couldn't connect with the rest of the characters, and I couldn't connect with the singing. It's like when the characters were singing, it's like it sounded awkward. It sounded so cringe. I couldn't really get into it, so I'm putting in D. If you guys like this movie, good for you, but I didn't like it as much. But then we got Nimona. This is a Netflix animated film so a couple months ago during, I think, CinemaCon, Netflix announced a bunch of these animated films that they're making for Netflix. So we got Nimona, and then later on we're going to talk about The Monkey King. And then I think later this year they're also coming with a Sandy Cheeks movie, as well as a Chicken Run 2. So the first one that was released of this was Nimona, and as the first animated film of Netflix that they announced, I honestly was really blown away by this. The animation is really good. The characters were fun. The character of Nimona is fun. The world was very fun and explosive, if that's a word, I guess. I created that word, by the way. It's just it's so much fun to be on this adventure. It's a nice change of pace for an animated film. And so for me, I really that's kind of the thing I really enjoyed about it. So if I'm gonna be honest, I will put it in the B tier. But it's yeah, I'm gonna put it above Jack's Mind because I think Nimona's more rewatchable. And then we have the infamous Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which I know a lot of people were just hating on this movie. They don't like that they just did CGI for Indiana Jones. I personally liked it. Now, I'm not praising this as the best Indiana Jones movie. I wanted this to be the best Indiana Jones movie because I'm like, it's perfect. You got an older Indiana Jones. You have the director of Logan directing this movie, and it's in the present day with present day effects, with present day special effects. So I'm like, what could go wrong, right? And they didn't fully catch the ballpark with this. Sure, Harrison Ford's performance as Indy is really good. The score is great. Some of the action is pretty fun. Some of the special effects, kind of bad, but I mean, some of them are pretty phenomenal, but then some of them but at the same time, it doesn't look right. And then the story, there's some profoundness in it, but not really. I don't know. I liked it, but it's not the best movie. So I'm going to put it in the C tier. And then we get into the July movies with Sound of Freedom. So this is a movie that I heard a few things about. That's basically about this movie that it's based on a true story that these people it's basically about sex traffickers and all that good stuff. and that all these people are trying to save these kids from getting sex trafficked, if that's even a thing. I don't know how you say it. Personally for me, I thought it was an interesting movie. It had some pretty good performances. I was kind of bored a little bit throughout the movie, but I still really enjoyed it. I still really liked it. And it was pretty profound stuff. It's a pretty sad film, which is why I probably will not watch it in a long time, in a while, but I think it's still good. I will put it in the C tier though, because I don't really remember much of it, because I watched it like a couple weeks ago. And then we have The Outlaws, which is a movie, that was the first actual July movie I watched, and I thought it was good. I think that because, you know, I was because in the name of The Outlaws, you know this has to be an action comedy. And it was, but at the same time, I was watching it, and I'm like, I don't know if this is the best usage of it. It sort of was like, it was actually really funny at times, but then, once it got into the action comedy stuff, it's like, I don't know if this really fits. Like, movies like Central Intelligence or The Man from Toronto, those movies, I think, work with it. But at the same time, with Man from Toronto, it kind of goes all wild all over the place. Central Intelligence fits the bag because you bring in two actors that can do the action but also do comedy really well. And The Outlaws just doesn't really work with that. You also have this girl, this boss girl, who kills a lot of people, but she, like, talks about, like, the C-O-C-K word. I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about here? And so, I had fun with it, but it honestly just had a big tone issue for me. And combining action and comedy together. While I did laugh at certain points, it had bad. Just because I laughed doesn't mean that it won me over. I laughed because it was a funny joke. Doesn't mean that it's so all good. But that's how I feel about it. Then we got Joyride, a film that I thought was very good. I thought that it took comedy and used it in a way that was so organically used. And I think what was so interesting about this movie, wait, hold up. I need to look at something real quick. Did I miss any movies? Okay. Wait. No. I'm trying to see if I missed any movies. Okay, I didn't. I hope I didn't. Okay, let's see. Alright. Actually, never mind. I didn't miss any movies. Okay. So you got Joyride. I thought the way that this uses comedy was very well done. Where it just seems like every single joke, it lands. But at the same time, you care about these characters. And that's another thing that I think this movie did really well, is that it was a comedy, but it was also with Asians. So it was pretty much a full-on Asian cast, except the girl that has white parents. And so I thought it worked. It had a lot of funny jokes. You even have them singing the Chinese and Asian version of WAP. I'm like, this is hilarious, but it's pretty funny. And it has a pretty good story, and honestly, it's pretty emotional at times. So honestly, I loved Joyride. So yeah, I really loved Joyride. Then we got Insidious, the Red Door. I was about to say The Last Key. Honestly, this was an Insidious film that I was excited for because I actually liked the sequels that came out after Insidious 1, mainly because they provided stuff that I liked. Like Insidious 2, just fun action, and you actually kind of felt scared a little bit. Insidious 3, they kind of created a pretty good story to do it, and then Insidious 4, Insidious Last Key just did really well and made you care about characters that I never thought would care, that your parents would be tortured by you. And this one just kind of doesn't really do that. It was kind of fun to see the little boy from the first film be an adult now, but at the same time, it's like it's weird because I remember him from Iron Man 3, and now he's an adult, and so it's like, this feels like Ocean Master and Harley from Iron Man 3 and Aquaman. But as for the movie itself, I think it was fine, I guess. It was okay. I didn't really like it as much. But I think I'm going to put it in the C tier. Or let's put it here. I'll put it here. Then we got Biosphere, another movie that I was just so frustrated with that I kind of liked, but actually, I'm putting Insidious at the bottom. Sorry. But Biosphere, it was a movie that I kind of liked, but overall, it was just a movie that was kind of boring. Like, why are these two people locked up in this place together? And then this guy grows like a vajayjay. They have to put a baby inside. And I'm just sitting here going like, what is going on here? I'm like, this is such a weird film. I'm like, this is... And then they start being gay for each other. I'm like, what is going on here? To be clear, they are gay. I respect it. But I'm just sitting here going like, this is a little weird a little bit. Like, weird. But, not to get too practical, but it was fine. I couldn't really get into it though, but it was okay. I thought it was better than Insidious, but that's all I could say. And now we get to the big one, which is Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. And, the past couple weeks I was watching the Mission Impossible films before this. And, this franchise is known for not needing to watch the film beforehand to understand what's going on in the next movie. And in a way I could say that, but it's better to watch those because all the other movies are a ton of fun. And Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 does not disappoint. While the story is pretty simplistic in introducing this AI system, they need to get this key so they can unlock this AI system so they can find out what's in this key. The action in this movie is so fantastic. It is so great. It's paid off in such a great way. Like from the cliff sequence with the motorcycle, or the train sequence when the train is falling and they're trying to get back up. All the action in this movie is phenomenal. The car chase is great. Almost a lot of things about this movie really work. I was about to say Peggy Carter. Haley Atwell in this movie is great. Also, this movie I think that this movie really does great well. One of my big problems with Mission Impossible Fallout, where it uses characters, like big name actors, and they use them to their full potential, because we saw Angela Bassett and Vanessa Hudgens, not Vanessa Hudgens, I meant Vanessa Kirby, in Fallout, and they're barely in the movie. And I was disappointed with that. And I'm like, I want to see more of them. So if you want to see more of them, go watch Black Panther and Hobbs and Shaw. But with this movie, they introduce the girl that played Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy. You introduce Haley Atwell. And of course, you also bring back Vanessa Kirby. And they're all used to their great potential. They're all used to their good potential. So I thought it had great introduction to characters, great action, a pretty engaging story, more memorable story, and just a great experience for movies. And Tom Cruise is the one that's saving the movies right now. He really is. So, as for now, it's not a perfect movie. I mean, the AI stuff is a little bit too confusing for me, but I can understand it in a sort of sense. But at the same time, I still think it was a great film. It's still fun. It's still great. You're going in A tier. I loved it. Then we get Theater Camp, which I thought was fun. Honestly, I watched it bootleg, in case you guys didn't know. That's why I didn't review it. And there was something kind of weird about it, because as this movie was filmed in a theater, as the video for the movie was filmed in a theater, I heard a lot of people laughing in this movie. I'm like, is it that funny? And I'm like, yeah, there's certain jokes that did work, and the story did work, but I don't think this movie is that funny. But it was good. I liked it. I'm gonna put it in B. It goes right there. Then we get They Clone Tyrone. A lot of people actually liked this movie. It had like a 96% on Rotten Tomatoes, or 97%. And I'm like, okay, I'm down for this. I want to see what this is all about. And it's not the best movie, but it's definitely a great movie. I mean, it's not the best movie, but it's definitely good. You know, you got Jamie Foxx in here, the girl from Captain Marvel, and the guy from Star Wars: Force Awakens. As to where I would put it, it has a unique story. It has a pretty good story about these people that clone people. So it has a good story through that, and Control. I thought it was a good movie, but I'll put it here behind The Perfect Find. That's where I'll put it. Then we got Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer was a film that, you know, I saw the trailers for this movie and I'm like, what is this all about? This movie's about a guy that created the atomic bomb. Like, what is that? And then you start to see it and I'm like, okay, so it's about this guy that created something that is explosive and that can destroy the world. So, okay, what's the point of the movie? The point of the movie is that he created this bomb and you get to see people's reactions and how this really changed the world. But even beyond, but it's not even just that. I mean, the performances in here are great, and the way Oppenheimer interacts with people, and overall, like the fact that, like, I'm honestly shocked that weekend, Barbenheimer had 2 movies that were stacked with a cast, and those movies were great, and you pretty much knew almost everybody. I mean, in Oppenheimer, you had Cillian Murphy, Florence Pugh, Robert Downey Jr., Matt Damon, the guy that played Bernard from Santa Claus movies. You had all these different actors. You even had Josh Peck from Drake and Josh. That's even crazy. But even then, it's like, even when you get to the end of the film where he's like with Albert Einstein, he's like, we just destroyed the world because of people's opinions and what they think of it. We just destroyed the world. So I thought it was pretty great. As to where I would put it though, I'm going to put it in A tier. I'm going to put it behind Mission Impossible though. Then we get Barbie, which was a film I actually loved more than Oppenheimer, as it just had all these great themes about people and all this interesting stuff. And, wait, actually, hold up. Let me check my sound on this video real quick. Hold up. Let me check my sound on this video real quick. Okay, it's good. So yeah, Barbie, great film, great performances. Honestly, whenever I look at this movie or I see a trailer for it, I'm sitting here going like, this movie is going to win it's going to win most of the Oscars. Both this one and Oppenheimer, because like the performances of the characters are amazing. Both Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling are fantastic. I think the set design is great as it feels like Barbie. And then even all the other people, like the fact that everybody had such a fun time making Barbie, it was so fun. I actually kind of like that they used Barbie as a way to explore women in like society. And I thought it was, now granted I'm not a woman, so I don't know anything about that, but it was an interesting story that they decided to dive into. And you actually kind of felt emotional and seeing everyone get the script out and get Gloria's speech, and then using the Billie Eilish song "What Was I Made For." I'm like, Barbie has a pretty engagement stuff. This is a great movie. I loved it, so I loved Barbie, and it's a film that I'm so surprised that we all loved. It's crazy what kind of world we live in. Then we get Cobweb, which was a movie that I thought was pretty interesting, but at the same time, I kind of forgot it. I forgot it enough. But I can still remember what happens. Of course, you got the guy that played from The Boys. It was perfect. Everything down to the last minute details. You haven't played that guy. He's good at his performance is great in it, and you can just tell he's a brutal force to be reckoned with. The scares in here I thought was really good. The fact that like you hate the parents as they just want to homeschool this kid. Like you just hate the parents. You're scared. You feel terrified. You feel tense. And so that's what a thriller is supposed to do. And so I honestly really enjoyed it. So then I'm going to put it in the B tier. And then we have Haunted Mansion, the reboot that I believe is a reboot based on the Disneyland ride. And, you know, I have a fond memory of watching the original Haunted Mansion from 2003 with Eddie Murphy, which I would say is a more better movie, though I'd still give it the same score as this new Haunted Mansion. I'd still say the new Haunted Mansion is good. The new Haunted Mansion is good. Owen Wilson, Danny DeVito, the new cast is pretty good. The music is pretty fun. The characters look pretty terrifying. And the images I'm looking at, I'm like, what the hell is this? Overall, it's good. I thought it was entertaining. It's not great, but I had fun with it. So I'm gonna put it in the C tier. I liked Haunted Mansion. And then we get the Beanie Bubble, which I thought was just it's another one of those, movies that are about a person that created a famous product. And so I actually had no idea what the Beanies toys were. I thought they were just making like beanies, like stuff you wear on your head. But no, this is like a toy product. And I thought the story of it was really interesting. You got Zach Galifianakis. I don't even know how to say his name, so I don't know how to say his name. I'm so sorry about that. But I thought that the performances were great. The story was really good. You cared about the characters in the way that Zach, I'm just going to call him Zach, the way Zach kind of interacts with women. You get to see how that turns out. And overall, it's just a really solid film. So I really dug the Beanie Bubble. So I'm going to put it in the B tier. And then we get Sympathy for the Devil. This is a really good movie. It stars the guy that played Rick Flag in the Suicide Squad films, as well as Nicolas Cage, and he basically gets him kidnapped, goes to this restaurant, goes all over the place, and tries to get to his sick mom. And you get to learn about each and every one of them, but you start to learn secrets about them, you start to learn things about them. Nicolas Cage's performance is wild to me, and it's a film that you feel fearful the whole time. And so overall, I really liked Sympathy for the Devil. So I honestly really enjoyed it. So I'm going to put it in the B tier. I'm put it in B. I'm going to put it here. Then we get Happiness for Beginners. I thought it was actually a pretty delightful film. Like, there's actually some funny scenes you have all these people that are going out camping, that are trying to find happiness and stuff. But then also, there's just some funny things, like when the guy from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 comes in here, Teal, and he trips over a log, and he's like, yeah, I would like to get a McDouble. So funny. I think it has some nice humor to it, but overall, it's fine. It's fine. I'm going to put it in, I'll put it here. I'll put there. Alright, now we get into these month's movies, starting with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, and I thought this was just a great movie. This was just a pretty great movie. First off, the animation style of it and taking inspiration from Spider-Verse, but using that style of Spider-Verse animation, but doing it in the Ninja Turtles fashion, I thought was just such a unique way to do it. And finally, teenagering the Turtles, finally after all these years, is genius. It's perfect. The action is pretty badass. The soundtrack is really great. The arcs between the characters are really good. The story with Splinter, really interesting. Though I have some issues on that. April O'Neil, pretty fun. I was kind of weirded out that Leo had a crush on April instead of Donnie, because that was like something I kind of grew up with. That Donnie always liked April, not Leo. He was always the fearless leader. All the humor in this film, the fact that it's so relatable to us, it's so great. I'm like, this is amazing. The villains in here, all of them pretty much work. The big standout here is, of course, Mondo Gecko. He's pretty great in it. And so overall, and then even when you get into the scene of creating this story of how do we accept people and being accepted, and being accepted, and then when you get to the scene where April is on the news broadcast and she calls, and then Splinter gets knocked down, and someone reaches for his hand, and he's backing away because of what happened last time he did that, and you realize they're trying to help him because they saw April's news broadcast, and then you get to see the mutants that betrayed Superfly, as well as the mutants that you get to see the mutants that betrayed Superfly, as well as the people in New York helping to work together with the Turtles and save New York from Superfly. And I'm like, it really brings back a lot of stuff from Spider-Man 2 and all the other Spider-Man films, and it's like, that's great. The fact that we also have the Ninja Turtles at school and interacting with people, they kind of look funny without masks. It's like it's kind of funny a little bit. So overall, I loved it. I thought it was a unique film. The only issue I really have with it is I'm not the biggest fan that they just changed the mutant storyline and basically just making them full-on mutants. I feel like that's just such a betrayal of the characters that it's like, because if you're gonna bring in Shredder in the next movie or the series, how are you gonna have a deep connection with him and Splinter? It's just gonna feel weird. It's gonna feel awkward. And he's just gonna die for no reason. I'm not saying Splinter's gonna die. I'm just saying, like, it just feels weird. And even that you changed Superfly, instead of him making Baxter Stockman, you make him just an actual fly that was mutated. And same thing with Bebop and Rocksteady and Mondo Gecko and all these other characters. Like, if they're gonna bring in like Tiger Claw or whatever that characters are, I hope they don't do that. Maybe at least make a mutant at least for once, do something different. I don't know. I kind of liked that part of the story, but that's just how I feel. But I'm gonna put it. I'm gonna put it here, or I'll put it there. Yeah. Then we get the Meg to the Trench, a movie that I thought was actually dumb, but it was fun. It was dumb fun. And that's the best part about what I could say about this movie, is that it's just dumb fun. I really enjoyed the first Meg, and so this movie just provides tons of good action, and even then, I don't even remember the shark action happening in this movie, so kind of disappointment, but at the same time, it really worked. So overall, I really enjoyed the Meg, and the Meg 2. As to where I would put it, though, is a good question. I'm going to put it in C tier because I think the action is good, but it's not even close to being a good story. Come on, we all know that. Then we got Corner Office. I thought it was a pretty unique film. I thought it had this interesting story about this guy who's in this office and his relationship with everyone and why he's standing in this corner over there. It was an interesting story to tell, and so I honestly enjoyed it for that. So as to where I would put it, though, I'm gonna put it right here in the C tier. Good enough. All right, now we have What Comes Around. This is a movie about a girl that it's basically a movie about a girl who is talking to someone on the phone. Well, not talking to someone, but who creates a relationship with someone, and that person happens to be the mom's ex-student, who she actually was a teacher, and she accidentally created a sexual relationship with one of the students, and it was pretty messed up stuff, but the tension and the way that the acting in it really worked for me. So I honestly really dug it. As to where I would put it, though, I'm going to put it in the B tier, but above Stanley. That's where I would put it. Then we get the Passenger. This is a movie that I thought was actually very good, but at the same time, I had a few issues. On the positives, and the way that I loved Sympathy for the Devil, it really creates that great experience of feeling the edge on your seat, where this guy works in this this sandwich restaurant, and this guy is picking on this kid, and these guys are being annoying, and so he goes to his car and gets a shotgun, and then he takes this guy hostage and goes around all this place. But at the same time, with the kid that gets bullied, you start to learn a lot about him. That but it's not anything like the Sympathy for the Devil. It's its own story, as you know, you start to find out that he had a girlfriend, but they broke up because his cat died, so he needs to go and get that. He had a terrible mistake, and that he got held back because he injured his teacher in all this story. And even though I kind of laughed at it when they said that she had to wear an eye patch now, and then, but at the same time, like, there were certain things that when it ended, I wanted things revealed, like when the guy attacked the teacher or attacked the vice principal. I was like, I want to know why he did that. Like, what happened with the vice principal? I don't know if they said something before about it. Like, I don't know. And then he goes to a diner, and I'm like the whole reason why they kidnapped the guy and the teacher now is because they found out that he killed the vice principal, but we never found out why he did it. And I'm just sitting here going like, why? And then he just gets shot by the police. And he's like, when I was a boy, I had a school trip to the zoo, and I said I wanted to be a giraffe when I grew up. And I said, you never should have trusted me, and then he just gets shot by cops. That's not a great story. So, at the same time, I still like the experience of it. I still thought it was great. But I have to put it in B tier because I don't think it was... I think the ending really suffered for me because I really wanted to find out what happened. And now we get into a film that I was debating whether I should have included it, but we have Spider-Man Lotus. The infamous fan film that everybody's been excited for, but also been nervous for because of the controversy between the director and the actors. Honestly, I honestly thought this was a great film. I didn't go into this movie expecting... I didn't go into this movie wanting... I didn't go into this movie hating on the actors and directors, supporting them. I went into it going in wanting a good Spider-Man story, and that's exactly what we got. Sure, it doesn't have all the action and spectacle that you want, but it's a great written story where it creates this story where it combines the death of Gwen Stacy, but also combines the Tim Harrison story really well. And I think they mashed these two stories in such great ways that it's like, this guy, Peter Parker, even in the way they actually recap his origin story again, they do it in a way where nothing has really changed since Uncle Ben died, but then he starts to realize how much he's done over the past couple of years, that he's done a lot of good. And when he starts to get that book, when he gets that booklet out and he sees everything that he's done, he realizes, I am that hero. Like, I let people die, and even in the way they even in the other actresses and actors perform, like Harry, you know, he was suffering. He not only did Gwen die, but also his dad died because he was the Green Goblin, and so he's suffering from that. And even going back to pills, and the way that the guy portrayed Harry was so great. And even the way the girl that played Mary Jane, she was also great. The MJ. Let's be honest, we're all crushing on her right now. For everyone that watched Spider-Man Lotus, and honestly, she's probably better than the Tobey Maguire Raimi films. And then even when it gets into like even when they bring in the actor for Flash Thompson, like it's such a mature version of him where it's not like jokey anymore. He's not a picky guy. He's not trying to flirt with MJ. Like, he's a much more mature version. He's like he's talking good stuff about Peter Parker, and you never thought you would get that. Like, this kind of reminded me what we saw with Flash Thompson in The Amazing Spider-Man 1 with Andrew Garfield. And I'm like, it was so great. And then even when it gets into like the special effects side of things, and the way that Gavin directed this film, and even in the swinging scenes, the visual effects, sure, it was a fan film, but it looks really good for a fan film. Like, not gonna lie, like the swinging scenes, like you watch that clip on YouTube, it's really good, but it even gets better when you watch it. Like, it's not very long, but it gets better. It just holds up when you watch it in the film. It is great. I loved watching this movie. It was a great experience, and just being able to watch a film that I want to watch, it's great. So I loved Spider-Man Lotus. So I'm putting this in the A tier. And this is probably one of my favorite films. Yeah, I put it above Flamin' Hot. Sue me. Then we got Heart of Stone. It's an action Netflix movie starring Gal Gadot. I thought it was a fine movie. The action is really good. It, of course, reminded me a little bit of what, Red Notice was and Interceptor was from last year. It reminded me of those movies, but it was a good version. And even people were talking about they could make this into an action franchise like Mission Impossible. Mission Impossible and Heart of Stone is two different things. Come on, stop. Just stop. Overall, I thought the movie was really good. It's not the best movie, but I thought it was good. I thought, as to where I would put it, though, is frustrating. I'll put it here. It was fun. The action's fun. Gal Gadot is pretty fun. It's good. Then we got the last, what is the title called? The Last Voyage of the Demeter. Sorry, I forgot the title for a minute. Hold up. But anyway, The Last Voyage of the Demeter, I thought was fine. It was an okay movie. You actually kind of felt tense in certain sequences and all this good stuff. And it had some flaws, but honestly, I enjoyed it for what it was. And for that reason, I'm going to put it in the C tier, but it's going to go next to Biosphere and The Outlaws. Then we get Red, White, and Blue. So this is an Amazon Prime original film. Oh, I don't think I saw that comment. Thank you, Gabriela Montez. Red, White, and Blue. So this is an Amazon Prime original movie that basically it's basically about these two. It's basically about this prince from England or London, or the Prince of England, and this guy who his mom is president. And come to find out, they actually have feelings for each other, and it's basically a LGBTQ film, but it's a film that it's like, why can't they love each other? And it's because princes can't be gay. And it kind of dives into all this stuff about queer and calling all these names about people, and it's like, this kind of sounds disrespectful in the way I hear people talk about stuff, but that's what they are, though, because that's who they are. And so it's like, it's a pretty mature film, and when you get to that ending scene when they actually get accepted from the London people and you see all the pride flags, it's like, you feel glad, you feel good about them. And then even the way you can see their love for each other is really good. So I thought it was a really good movie, so I'm putting it in the B tier. Then we got Jules, a movie about a guy. I think the old man in this movie was the guy that played Bagheera in the Jungle Book. I forgot. Ben Kingsley. Yeah, Ben Kingsley. He basically, I could not recognize him. He almost looked like Gary Oldman from The Dark Knight. But he really works in the movie. Was kind of weird at times, as it basically was a story about this alien that comes to this spaceship that crash lands on Earth, and this alien comes out, but he makes no simple threat. He says no words. And he's just sitting on the couch, and he likes apples. It's pretty good. And even in the way people keep coming back into this guy's life, but everyone thinks he's crazy, that there's an alien sitting on his couch and he gets apples for him. It's pretty weird, but it's so good at the same time. So I honestly really dug it. As to where I would put it, though, I'll put it here. I'll put it in the B tier. Alright, now we get to the last stretch of the movies that I saw this past weekend with The Monkey King, The Adults, and Blue Beetle. First up, we got The Monkey King. I thought this was just another really good animated film from Netflix. And I'm honestly very excited for what Netflix has to come with future animated films. That, they made Mitchell vs. the Machines, but it wasn't really a Netflix original movie. This is another Netflix original movie, and it's good. Once again, they use animation. They use the animation in such great, fantastic ways. The character of Monkey King, he kind of reminded me of what Emperor's New Groove was like, with the Emperor was. I forgot his name, but he reminded me a lot like that. Except that character in Emperor's New Groove was better because he became a better person. This guy he's kind of cocky, and even though he does save people in the end, you don't really feel that sort of story of that he changed for the better and he became this hero. He's defeated 100 demons because he wanted to be with the immortals. And it was kind of a weird movie, but at the same time I still liked it because of its animation style, and even the action is pretty badass. I'm still gonna put it in the B tier though, because it's still really good. Yeah, I'll put it here. I'll put it there. Then we get The Adults. So this is a Michael Cera film that, it was kind of shocking that I saw Michael Cera in more movies, because because the day before I saw this, I saw him in Superbad. I rewatched Superbad to do my Celebration of Cinema review for it, and then I watched Barbie a month ago, and he was pretty good in it and funny, as he just plays Alan, the only one of his species. And it was kind of a fun movie, as he plays this dad who is trying to get this short weekend as possible, but also is playing poker with his friends. And so it has a pretty unique story, and having like these family experiences, like that's kind of how family would be. And I honestly just really dug that about the film. And so overall, I guess Michael Cera's performance is underrated, and overall, I dug it. I dug The Adults. Now, as to where I would put it, though, it's a good question. I'm gonna put it here. I'll put it there. It's a good placement. And finally, for new releases, we have Blue Beetle, and I actually have to say, I was really impressed with Blue Beetle. I loved Blue Beetle. This was a great movie. And everybody that's saying that this movie it's not trying to be the best DC film. It's not trying to be the next, like everybody was saying with Flash, they were raving about it, saying it was the best DC movie of all time, the best superhero film of all time, and then everybody's trashing on it when it comes out. Everybody is saying this was a fun time, and when the reviews came out, people were saying the exact same thing. For me, I see this as a great time, but it's also one of my favorite DC films, as where they introduced a new character that you absolutely fell in love with, and I honestly want to see more of him, which is why I want to go start watching the Cobra Kai now. I love that it reminded me also like Black Panther, where Black Panther introduced us to like black culture in a superhero movie. This movie introduces us to Hispanic culture in a superhero film, but also has this generic story, but you care about the story that they're going on, as you have this scarab that they need to protect from people, and going into this girl's house, and we could all agree that Blue Beetle, Jaime Reyes has probably the best Riz. And even through all the Hispanic references, my friend is Hispanic, and he was like saying like, look, they do it through music, they do it through shows, they do it through food, they do it through all of that. And it takes this generic plot, but uses it in the sort of sense like, how do you take this generic plot? How would this sort of family react to it? And they use it in such great ways, like the Nana gets a gun, she has some fun with it. The sister uses a giant metal fist, a giant technological fist, and then even when it gets to like the action, it's pretty badass. as it's like he has all these arsenals of weapons, and he even gets gets to do hard punches. And then even then, it even kind of has its emotional side at times. So it's like it has a perfect amount. It's a great introduction to a new character. It's great stuff with Hispanic culture. It has a pretty great story, and even with the villain, which is not the best villain, you kind of care about him when he actually does die, and when he does sacrifice himself. As they show that flashback, as he's also Hispanic too. It made Now this movie is not perfect. I kind of wish it was a bit. If I'm being honest, the only complaint I really have is I wish it could have been longer, and maybe could have explored the villain just a little bit more. And even as I was seeing this villain who was just gonna be coming up in a big robot suit and attacking Blue Beetle, that's not what it is at all. He's more than that, but he's not the best character. But they worked it out in a way that you actually cared about that character. So overall, I loved Blue Beetle, and I honestly think it is possibly the best movie of this summer. It was fun. It was funny. It was action-packed. It was emotional. It was a great introduction to a new character, and it had great, and it honestly took the Hispanic culture and did it with justice. And there you have it. That is my summer movie tier list for new movies. And now we're going to update this to Twitter to post it so that way you guys can see and make your own tier list to see how you would rank these movies. And so now we're going to go on to another tier list, which is the summer retro movies. And really, we're just going to rank them as to how we see them. Yes, we have a lot more movies to go to. Wow. All right, so first up, we got 84 Brady. And honestly, I thought it was fine. Or actually, you know what? Let me take a little break because we just finished the new release one. So let me take a little break. Okay. Oh shit. Yeah. Okay. Whew. Okay. I guess this could be probably a good time to go to the bathroom. So wait. How do I unpause it? No, I'm not unpause it. I mean, how do I hold up? How do I mute it? Okay, I found the mic, and I'm gonna be right back. Okay, we are back. Hold on, let me check the noise. Okay. So now we are going to do the retro movies list for summer. The retro movies list. And honestly, there's a lot of movies to talk about here. There is one movie that is on this list that, unfortunately, I thought too far ahead to include it. So if we get to that movie, we're going to ignore it because I did not see it. And the only reason for that is because I couldn't see it, because I couldn't find it anywhere. So we're going to ignore it. But really, the list is 93. Actually, no, wait. Yeah, it's 94 movies. But it's technically, this list has 95 movies, but whatever. Alright, so first up we have 80 for Brady. I thought this was a fine movie. It was fine. It's kind of nice to see all these older women, the girl that played Aunt May. Wait, I just realized we have both Aunt Mays in this film. Aunt May from Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and then Aunt May from the Amazing Spider-Man movies. That's pretty crazy. But as for me, I thought it was fun to see all these girls rave about Tom Brady and all this fun stuff. And it was just, it was nice. It was a nice film. Would I watch it again, though? I don't know. My dad was saying he wanted to watch it because he likes football movies, but then he was like, it's not for me because it's woman, and I can't relate to that. Then we have Maybe I Do. This is like a movie where basically there's a couple that wants to bring their parents together, but then they realize one of each have dated each other once in their lifetime and create some interesting conflict. I thought it was fine. So for me, I'm going to put it in C, because I did kind of care about it just a little bit. And I think this is Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. And I thought this was actually a really good movie. I've actually been watching I've already finished the Christopher Nolan movies that I was doing. So all my Christopher Nolan movies, I finished. Now I need to watch Transformers. And I pretty much just need to watch Rise of the Beast now, which I will eventually. But I finally watched Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, and I can definitely say it is a good movie. It honestly matches what I loved about the first one, where it has all the fun action, but it's a simple story. This one actually has a good story, and then when it gets to the action, when you get all the characters revived, and you have Optimus Prime being dead but getting brought back to life, it's fun, and I honestly enjoyed it a lot. So honestly, I'm putting this in the B tier. Then we got Murders in the Rue Morgue. I thought this movie was good, but it had an issue with me. That the reason why I like Dracula and Frankenstein so much was because it had this story, because it took a story of these iconic Halloween figures and made a story out of them, and so you were able to connect with it. This one's, it's not really a story. It's creatures being tortured, and so I guess the main character is like a monkey. The main horror guy is a monkey, so it was kind of weird. But I honestly still did really like it. So you're going in B. Then we get Batman versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So when you first think about this movie, you're like, what the hell is this? This sounds like it's such a dumb movie. And then you watch it. The team up between Batman and Ninja Turtles are so fun. The team up between Batman villains and heroes, between Batman villains and Ninja Turtles villains, is fun. The fact that you get to see Batman villains turn into mutants, it's so much fun. The action is great. The character, everything has an arc. The interactions like with Raph and Robin, Leonardo and Batman, Donnie and Batgirl, Alfred and Mikey, all the interactions. The only thing that I wish we could have done is we brought in Robin, Batgirl, and Alfred, but why couldn't we bring in Splinter, April, or Casey? Like, we could have brought in those characters in to bring in all the fun. It would have been really fun stuff to do. But honestly, I loved this movie. It was just such a great film. And honestly, this is my favorite Ninja Turtles movie, by the way, and my favorite Batman film. Then we have Back to School. This is basically about a older man who basically, I guess, loses his job, so he basically takes a day with going to college with his son, and it's a fun movie. It has the guy has a pretty good charm. You get to see a much younger Robert Downey Jr. in this film, which is the reason why I watched it. And overall, I just thought it was a pretty good. It was a fun film. It was a very fun film. So I'm gonna put it in the B tier. And then we have The Mummy. Honestly, I think this was one of the first monster films where I was like, yeah, I don't know if I am ready for the other films because it's just not working for me. But I watched this one and I didn't really love it, so I'm actually putting this in the F tier. Just because they took a mummy and they didn't do anything. I couldn't get interested into him. It's like, I don't understand any culture, so I couldn't get into it. Then we get Hard Kill. The only exception I can make for this film is that the action was fun. That's the only exception I can make for it. So for me, the action was fun. You kind of felt intense through certain scenes, but overall, not a good movie. Then we got Wide Awake, the first M. Night Shyamalan film that I saw outside of Glass, old, and that's pretty much it before I saw Wide Awake. I liked it. I thought it was a good movie. I thought, the guy that played George from Stuart Little in here is good. The movie is good, and just exploring life. It's a pretty good film. So I'll put it in the B tier. Then we got Detective Night, Independence, I believe. These movies are dumb fun. They're fine. I'm going to put it in C, though, because I did enjoy it. And then we got Barbie, Mermaid Power. Honestly, surprisingly enough, I enjoyed this movie. Now, I enjoyed it enough to the extent where it's like, this is cheesy, but it's kind of fun. And so for that reason, I'm putting it in the B tier above Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. Because it does awkward stuff, but it doesn't really work as well. Then we got Doggone. This is an emotional film. Where I actually felt emotional throughout this movie. Where it's like, after I watched, I don't know, what movie was it? After I watched Doggone, I was like, I'm watching some either a thriller or I'm watching just these sad films. And Doggone was pretty dang sad. As you lose this dog, as this kid loses, as he goes back to his parents' house and he brings back his dog that he was with in college, but he starts to realize that he gets sick, and so then he loses his dog, but then you also realize that the kid is sick himself, where he's throwing up blood most of the time, but it's not just because he's worried about his dog. It's been happening many times before, and it's a pretty sad story, but you get resolutions for all of them at the same time. And so it's just a film that I thought worked at its best for heartfelt moments. So I thought it was really good. Then we got There's Something Wrong with the Children. I thought it had enough suspense to keep me going, but I don't think it did anything great. But I'll still give it the credit it deserves, so you're going to go in B. Oh boy, now we got Missing. This was a sequel to the film Searching that I was a massive fan of, and I honestly loved Missing. I thought, like, everything I loved about Searching, how do you take a spin on that? And they did it in such a unique way. It's like, and I'm not the biggest fan of the twist in it, but at the same time, I still absolutely loved it. You're going in A tier. Then we got The Sun. I thought this was once again another great film where you have Hugh Jackman. Obviously, Hugh Jackman's performance is fantastic, But you also just have this great story as he is this father to this kid who basically is like suffering with acute depression, and there's this sequence where the doctor says he has to stay in the hospital so that they can treat this depression, but the kid does not want to stay there any longer. And so it's like you kind of get emotional, where it's like when Hugh Jackman says they can't do this, like you have to sign these papers to let this kid out, or we're gonna keep him here. It's like, we want you to get better, but we love you, but we want you to get better. And so then they sign the papers, and then they're like, hey, what if we went to a movie? And he's like, it'll make him happy. Think about what he wants. And then you hear the gunshot, and you realize, yup, he just ended his life. And you realize they should have kept him in the hospital longer. And so, yeah, it's pretty sad. And after Doggone, I was like, why am I watching such depressing movies? Like, this is sad, bruh. Like, why are movies hitting me with such good emotions? But honestly, I loved it. And then even when he starts to imagine what his life could have been like, and then you even have Vanessa Kirby in here too. So I loved it. It was a great movie. You're going A tier. Then we got When You Finish Saving the World. It stars the actor that played Freddy from, I think, Stranger Things. He has some nice moments in here with this girl in here, but honestly, there's nothing else that I can really pertain from that I really remember. Honestly, it's sort of like maybe I do. I'm going to put it in here. Then we got Detective Night, Rogue. A good start to this little trilogy of Bruce Willis action films. I thought the first film was good, so you're going in C. And then we have Detective Night Redemption, which I thought was another solid action film, but it's nothing special. Nothing of these movies are special. And then we had The Prestige, which I thought was another unique little Christopher Nolan film. That was another Christopher Nolan film that I actually haven't watched at all until then. And I honestly loved it. I fell in love with these characters. I liked the performances of Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman. Just the magic tricks were really great. And just overall, it's a film that I loved. And honestly, this is my favorite Christopher Nolan film. I absolutely loved it. Then we got Dracula, the first film of the Monster Universal movies. And I thought this was a good start. I thought it was just a really good start. Of course, in the way that the guy portrays Dracula is such in an interesting manner where you can understand how he moves. And even in the scenes, it's just a really good movie. You can go check out my review for it. It's on my channel now. For me, I'm going to put it in the B tier. I'm going to put it in top. Then we got Kids vs. Aliens. Kind of reminded me of what Halloween 2007 was, but not exactly as good of a version. Where the older teenagers, the older kids, just kind of feel like they're more, like, too dickish. And then they just bring in this alien storyline that they have to stop these aliens. It's like, it's so weird, but it's kind of fun at the same time. So I enjoyed it, but it's not my favorite. I'll put it in C. Then we got The Old Way. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, The Old Way. I thought it was a pretty good film. Once again, another Nicolas Cage movie that came out this year. I thought it was really good. Just his performance is great. It's a nice Western from Nicolas Cage. I thought the story was really good, and just these types of stories kind of work if you do it right. I wasn't the biggest fan that they killed off Nicolas Cage's character, but I still absolutely really liked it. So for that reason, you're going to go in B. Then we got Shotgun Wedding, which is another movie that I thought was pretty good. First off, how the hell does Jennifer Lopez, how the hell does Jennifer Lopez, how is Jennifer Lopez 50 and she still got ass? It's pretty crazy. But besides that, it's a fun movie. You know, our two leads, Jennifer Lopez and this guy. I think this other guy was in, I think, a movie I saw recently. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I forgot. But anyway, their two performances were great. The action at times can be pretty fun. It's nothing too crazy or incredible, but it's a fun little action movie. So I enjoyed it, and it's fun. Then we got Life Upside Down. Another pretty good movie, but it's like, it basically explores the life of quarantine. I was kind of confused, like, wait, so this guy likes this other person, but they're married to this person? Like, what? And so I was kind of confused a little bit at times, but I really dug The Life Upside Down. I'm going to put it here. Then we got Fear. Yeah, it's kind of a generic a generic horror movie. I felt intensity through it, but it was fine. I'll put it here. Then we got Frankenstein, my favorite monster movie of the Universal films, as it just uses the character of Frankenstein in such interesting ways, and even kind of makes you scared about him, but he's not really a scary figure. He's a good guy, in a way. But overall, I liked it, so you're going in B. Then we got The Meg, the first one. I thought this was really good. And honestly, I thought the first Meg was really good. I thought it was a fun movie. It actually had a complete plot. I would say the second Meg is better because it's a lot more fun. But the first Meg is fun. It's really fun. But it uses the characters in a better way. So for me, as to where I would put it though, I'm going to put it here. I'm going to put it there. All right, now we're coming to this section of this Nicholas Hammond Spider-Man trilogy. So I'm going to be talking about each and every one of these films as fast as I can. So with Spider-Man 1977, yeah, it's going to go here. It's bad, but it has this weird story about mind manipulation. It's okay. Spider-Man Strikes Back, fun story. Does well better with action, but I don't know if it's for me. The Spider-Man Dragon Challenge, I think, is a better movie than this trilogy. It has an action, and I think what this movie does better is it actually has a story for Spider-Man that has stakes, where he goes and becomes Spider-Man and saves this guy's father, but the girl that was friends with Peter calls him a coward for running away. And you think about that story, like that's a Spider-Man story. It has consequences. And I really enjoyed that aspect about the film. So you're going in... We're going here. I really enjoyed Spider-Man Strikes Back. Spider-Man Dragon Challenge. And now we get to Unbreakable, which was a movie that I was a massive fan of. That is, like, as soon as this movie started, I knew I was in for something great. And, like, it was talking about how many comics are sold many times a day. And then you get this intro where this baby is born with his arms and legs broken. And then you get Bruce Willis's character, who he survives a train crash, and everybody else gets injured or dies except for him, and there's not a scratch on him. And that's how Samuel L. Jackson's character comes to the mix, as he believes there are real life superheroes out there, and that's how the comic stuff plays into it. And there's even all these situations that play into it where Bruce Willis's son gets a gun and he starts pointing at it, and it's intense. And that's the best usage of M. Night Shyamalan's stuff, and I honestly dug it so much. I dug it. So I'm putting this in the A tier. I don't know if you guys can see that. I'm gonna put it right there. All right. Now we have The Village. It fine. It was fine. A fine M. Night Shyamalan movie. I thought it was good. You're gonna go in. I'll put it here. I thought it was fine. Solid performances, but not my really thing. Then we got 1776, a movie that was my 4th of July pick for this year. That was a good movie. Definitely good. Explored, it took, like, the independent stuff and used it in a good in a way, in an interesting way, made it kind of into a musical and all that good stuff, and it just worked. I thought it was really good, so where I would put it, I'm gonna put it, I'll put it here. Then we got The Happening. This is a movie that has a weird trajectory throughout years, because everybody hates on this movie for some reason, of like that scene where he's like, "What? No." Is the acting that bad in the movie? Because I don't understand. But at the same time, the movie, I kind of don't remember it as much, but I do remember liking it. So you're going to go, I remember liking it more than The Village, so you're going to go right here. Then we got After Earth, which is another movie that I actually really dug. And I thought it had solid performances. How many movies do we have left? Okay, we're kind of almost done. A little bit, sort of. After Earth, you know, Will Smith and Jaden Smith, they're great in this film. And honestly, I just want to see more films with them, like Pursuit of Happiness and such. As an M. Night Shyamalan movie, it doesn't really fit into that category, but it's honestly really good. So I'm gonna put it here. I'll put it there. Then we got Split. Split was a good movie. The performance of James McAvoy was fantastic, and honestly, the story itself was a bit confused as why was he kidnapping these girls, and then I like that it actually ties into the Unbreakable universe, that it was a sequel to Unbreakable this whole time, and then you hear the music, and then you see Bruce Willis, and he mentions Mr. Glass. Great twist. Absolutely loved it. But at the same time, it's not the best movie, but I'll put it here. I gotta put it there. Now we have The Devil Conspiracy. I thought this was actually a pretty okay movie. I'll put it here. I honestly didn't really care for it as much. Actually, I'll put it here. I didn't care for Devil Conspiracy as much. Plane, I thought Plane was a pretty good movie. It takes a generic plot, as it's just this pilot crash lands on this island and they're trying to get out, but then there's terrorists here. It's a fine movie. I'm gonna put it in the B tier, but above Wide Awake, because I liked it more. Then we got Searching, which was another movie that I absolutely fell in love with, where it just takes this concept of using computers and, like, how do you tell film? Like, it's a great way of how to tell film, except through computers and technology. And I'm like, this is such a genius way to tell a story. And even in the way they use it, like, you get the tense vibes of it, and texting. Like, I never thought I would get so intense by a text message. I mean, you can do it in a normal film, but in these types of movies, it works at best. And you even kind of create little character arcs for our performers. And so overall, it's really great. And so I love Searching, so I thought it was great. Then we got House Party, the new one from January. And I thought this was a fine movie. It, of course, uses, you know, the stuff that they did in the 90s in present day. How do you bring that to the present day? It's fun. Is it great? Not really, but I will say it is a good time. But that's all I can really say about it, so I'm going to put it here. Then we got Sick. So at first I was kind of excited for this film because it's a horror, a thriller film that takes place during the pandemic. But when you kind of think about it, if you just take the pandemic plotline out of it, where a person stops someone because they need to wear a mask, it just becomes a normal slasher film. Like, if you take the COVID-19 plotline out of it, it's a normal film. There's nothing special about it. But at the same time, I still did kind of like it. So you're still going to go here. I still liked you. Okay, we're going to take a little bit of a break. Okay, we have a good amount of films left. We have like 4 more rows. But I'm going to go get some water. Well, not really take a break. I just have to go get water because I am thirsty out of my mind. All right, we are back. Okay, so now we are talking about The Drop. Honestly, this was a terrible film. This was honestly one of the worst movies I've seen in a while. And the thing is, it's like this summer, I didn't really watch a lot of bad movies. That's the thing. Like, you look at the new releases list, I didn't watch a lot of bad movies. And that's surprisingly shocking. But with The Drop, yeah, I'm going to put it here just because, I'll put it here. It's just, it tells this story about this mom that dropped her own baby because she was afraid of a bee stinging her. And it didn't work. It wasn't good. It was just bad. The performances were awkward. It was pretty bad. Then we got Mission Impossible Fallout. You already know where this film is going. I loved Mission Impossible Fallout. This is the cinematic blockbuster that defines what practical and real stuff movies can be. Where you can do real fight sequences. You're not doing green screen. You're not doing CGI. You can do great stuff. Now, I think Dead Reckoning Part 1 tops what Mission Impossible Fallout did, but Mission Impossible 6 is the best Mission Impossible movie to date. We'll see about 8. Maybe it will prove me wrong. But now we have Island of Lost Souls. Don't really remember this movie as much, but I thought it was fine. I didn't really have major issues with it. But I didn't like it at all either. So I'm going to put it... yeah, I'll put it there. Because it had a decent story. Then we got Indiana Jones in the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I thought this movie was fantastic. I thought this is the best Indiana Jones movie. You can hate on me if you want to. I don't care. This is the best Indiana Jones movie. I loved it. As for me, it's just, it combined what I loved, where you have the Indiana Jones spectacle, the action is good, you have characters that you care about, but you also just have a reason as to why we need to capture this MacGuffin, because if we don't, then bad things are going to happen, and that's what creates Aliens. And I think that's because it's like all the other movies, they're getting these MacGuffins because they need to belong in a museum. That's not interesting to me. I want a MacGuffin that we need to protect because people are going to use it to their baddest potential, and this movie proves that. So, honestly, I thought it was great. You're going to go here. Now we have Knock at the Cabin, another film that I absolutely loved, and I'm going to be honest, I fell in love with this movie. As soon as it started, I'm like, you see Dave Bautista interacting with this little girl, and then you see the guy that played Kristoff from Frozen and his boyfriend, and they're trying to break into this house as there's this world apocalypse happening, and there's great performances. It's tense throughout the entire thing. You're like, what's going on here? Even through certain sequences when characters are trying to escape, and then you feel emotional when they die at the end. It's like, it's such great building, world building, and character development. And overall, I loved it. I love Knock at the Cabin. I'm gonna put it here though. Then we got Lady in the Water. I thought this was kind of a weird movie, to be honest with you, because I'm like, what the hell is going on with this movie? But to be clear, it's not a bad movie. I mean, it's pretty bad. Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty forgettable. It's boring. It has this like mutant dog in it, and I was expecting like, this is nothing like what I remember learning about in school, where it was like, slavery and shit, and that's not what happens in this movie. So I was not saying I was disappointed, but I'm like, this is not what I expected from Lady in the Water from M. Night Shyamalan, but that's what we got. So I'm putting this, that after. Then we get The Last Airbender. I get where people are coming from. With this movie that's saying it's bad. But at the same time, I can also see like there are some cool action beats to it, and there's a nice story set up with it. But it's also like, what exactly is the story? Creating, so like they're trying to figure out who can master all the avatars together, but then they also need to figure out what is going on here. I'm excited for the new movie that's coming out with Last Airbender. I'm hoping that they do something, but I thought it was good, but I don't think it was great, so I'm going to put it in D. Then we got Mission Impossible 1. Mission Impossible 1. I thought the first film was good. Nothing too special. I mean, the only scene I really liked was the scene where he's hanging and he can't touch the floor, and the drop of sweat that drips off him. That was nice, but I think besides that, there's nothing really entertaining about it. That's kind of why I like the other Mission Impossible movies more, just because they have a much more interesting story when it comes to stuff like that. And it has a lot more action, and I like that since Mission Impossible 3, that these films started to become the franchise of great movie experiences. And the first Mission Impossible wasn't really that. It was more of just telling the show except in movie form and getting a good cast to do it. And I thought they did it well, but I prefer the great movie experiences rather than adapting a show into a movie. But that's just me. So for me, I'm going to put Mission Impossible in the C tier because I liked it, but I didn't love it. Then we got Weird Science. Let me take a drink of water real quick. Weird Science was good. Actually, no, it was not good. Sorry, let me rephrase that. It was bad. It honestly was weird, as in the title, pun intended. There was just a lot of weird stuff going on. I'm like, what I don't even remember the movie, and I think this is a film that starred Robert Downey Jr. in it, and overall, it was just such a weird film. I couldn't really get into it, so I am putting this in... Put it here, because I did kind of enjoy it a little bit. Then we got The Locksmith. I thought it was actually pretty good. I can't say it's better than most movies, but it is a good movie. So I'm going to put it in above Plane. I think it was really good. It was a nice thriller. It had a nice story as this guy that wants to, get back with his family and his daughter, but doesn't want to go back to jail, but has to make sacrifices for it. And he gets clean in the end, so I liked it. Then we got Magic Camp, a Disney Plus original movie that I actually missed. What's funny about this is this movie came out when I was in Disney World, and a week before I started school. So it was kind of cool, but overall, it was kind of funny at times. I laughed at certain points, but it wasn't the best movie. But I'm gonna put it. I'll put it there. Then we get, I believe, Annabelle Creation. Yeah, Annabelle Creation. I thought this movie was just garbage. After Annabelle 1, I just couldn't really get into the other Annabelle films. I don't know, just something about it just kind of was just kind of messy. I couldn't really buy into it. I don't know. It was mostly boring. It had to do with like these... Wait, that was The Nun. No, this is Annabelle Creation. I don't even remember what happened in the movie. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to put an F. And even then, even when I review it, you could just check my review if you want to. You don't have to, I guess. Whatever. Then we have The Nun. Just another pretty bad movie of these films. I could not get into this movie. It was pretty boring, and the fact that there was actually an interesting concept of this movie that like, what if a nun was possessed? That's an interesting story. But even then, the execution, it's not scary. It doesn't really do anything interesting with its premise, and so for that reason, I was just bored throughout most of the time. So going in F again. Then we got we got Rental. I thought this was a fine film. And what's good about this movie is that you have a good story. You have good plot. You have stakes that you care about. You have all this good stuff in it. But at the same time, it's not great. I think it has a good story. It has some good thrills in it, and you do kind of care about it just a little bit, but it's not the best movie of all time. I'll put it in the C tier, but it's gonna go to the top. Sorry, excuse my throat there. I'm talking for literally an hour and a half. Then we got the tax collector or whatever. I thought this was a okay little film of Mexicans and cartel crews and all that good stuff, tax collectors. Did I like it? Not really, but I enjoyed it enough. I'll put it there. Then we get Insidious 2, which I thought was pretty good. Which I actually thought was the film that got me interested into the Insidious franchise. And I thought it was just another good movie. I thought this was just a good movie. This was a solid film. And I'm going to put this one at the top of B tier next to Meg, Barbie, and Transformers. Then we got Magic Mike's Last Dance. I cannot get into. I had a fresh. This was honestly the first film besides the first Magic Mike where I actually liked it. Of course, Channing Tatum and Salma Hayek's performances, their little interactions together were great. The dancing scenes were great. And the fact that the scenes are also long as hell too. They never end. But yeah, I think it's okay. It was, and finding a story of, future strippers or male entertainers as they call them. That was okay. I'm gonna put it in D. And D is fine. Yeah, I'm gonna put it there. Then we get the Equalizer. So, fun fact, I think I'm gonna be watching the second Equalizer film tomorrow. And then on Friday, you're going to be getting my review for the second film. And hopefully, I'll be able to watch the third film. Not in theaters, because I'm liking the franchise so far, but I'm not caring enough to want to go see these films. But I'm not caring enough to want to go see the third film in theaters. I'm fine with seeing it on my laptop at home. It's better that way. But with the first Equalizer, I thought was, good. I'm excited for the second film. And so overall, it's going to go... It's going to go in C. I like it right there. Then we got Insidious 3. Just once again, another great film. It creates new characters. You actually care. You care about them. And then when it pays off the horror stuff, it does great. So we're going to go here. Insidious: The Last Key, just once again. Except this is my favorite one of these because it creates a story from the very beginning where a kid is being abused because she believes that there are ghosts. And the dad doesn't want to believe that there are ghosts. And it's like, it's pretty terrifying. It's cruel. But it's so good in the end. And the horror stuff is good. And so I honestly really dug it. So I enjoyed it. Then we got Mission Impossible, Ghost Protocol. Once again, just another really good Mission Impossible film. This was like the first one where I was like hooked. Where they brought in this team. They brought in Brad Bird. They brought in Michael Giacchino to do the score for the film. And they just created a film. This is where I feel like Tom Cruise really got ejected when he basically did great movie experiences. And what I mean by that is that you have this scene in Dubai that is real, where Tom Cruise literally climbs a tower. And I'm just sitting here going like, this is awesome. You feel the heat. And even when he swings in and he hits his head, it's awesome. At the same time, I kept going back and forth like, why did I love this movie so much? Because the story was engaging, but the sequences are a lot more entertaining. Plus, Tom Cruise has ultimate greatness as he kisses that beautiful girl, where you have a beautiful girl, plus a very attractive man, so I'm like, fits pretty well. So I don't really know where I would put it, though, because I love it, but I don't, man. I'll put it there. Yeah, I'll put it there. Then we got, Freedom's Path. Yeah, we're going to forget that movie because I did not watch it. I have not seen it, so and I can't find a way to delete it, so we're just going to stick with it there. But then we got Summerland, which I thought was good. I thought, it worked. I thought it was actually pretty emotional as it gets into this story about this mom who doesn't tell their son that his dad is dead or his parents are dead. that's pretty sad stuff, and that Summerland is like this heaven. So it has this interesting story. Oh, the Pope was here. Gotta go. I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. Or am I? I'm kidding. No, seriously. Alright, I'm done. But I think Summerland is good. As to where I put it, I'm gonna put it. I'll put it there. Put it there. Yep. Then we got Animal Crackers. This is a movie that is surprisingly really good. It has it has a dumb premise, but it honestly works. That it's fun, and just seeing this guy turn into different animals by eating animal crackers is fun. The voice cast is pretty great, as you have Danny DeVito, you have Salma Hayek, you have all these other actresses and actors. I think you even have Eric Bana in here playing one of the cats in here. Overall, it's a good movie, but is it great? No, but I overall really dug it. It's a good movie. I enjoyed it. I enjoy movies like this. Then we got Justice League Flashpoint Paradox. This is the better animated version of that story, and I would say that this is a great film. This is a great film on edge. It kind of reminded me of what Guardians of the Galaxy did, where Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was a story about Rocket, but it used the other characters of the Guardians in such great ways that it didn't feel like they were just there because it's a Guardians movie. They were there because they're main parts of the story. And this film felt like the exact same thing. As soon as you enter the movie, you're reminded it's not just a Flash movie, it's a Justice League film. So when you see Wonder Woman, when you see the Justice League show up, you get a great feeling. But then when you get into the multiverse side of things, you get to see all these different what ifs where you get to see, instead of Bruce Wayne becoming Batman, you see Thomas Wayne become Batman. You get to see Aquaman and Wonder Woman start World War III, and how all these different characters would pertain to that, where Lois Lane would lead a force to attack the Amazons and Atlanteans. You even get to see Cyborg work for the government. Superman wasn't even Superman yet. All these different what ifs, and creates a very interesting story. And even when it comes to the action, it's very good, and it's also very brutal. And I watched this movie twice, both for the first time in June and then the second time in July for its anniversary. So I loved not Zack Snyder's Justice League. I loved Justice League Flashpoint Paradox. So I'm going to put it in the A tier. Then we got, I think that's Magic Mike 2. Yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan of the second one. It has okay stripping scenes, but that's all there is to it. Then we got Cutthroat City. Funny thing, this movie stars the guy that played Miles Morales from Spider-Verse in this film, and he plays like a gunman. I thought it was fun. I thought it was pretty good. It was pretty well acted, and it had a solid story. So for that reason, I'm gonna put it in right there. Right there is good. That sounds right. Then we got Waiting for the Barbarians. Yeah, I thought this was a pretty boring movie. For the reason, you're going in F. I'm sorry. Now we have American Pickle. American Pickle is such a fun movie because it's such a weird premise as Seth Rogen plays this guy who is a pickle grinder, and he stays in pickle brine. He accidentally gets dropped in pickle brine for 100 years and wakes up in the present day. He meets his other self, who is also a Ben Baum, or whatever it is. And, the fact that Seth Rogen is playing two versions of himself, but both are incredibly different is so great of his acting performances. And even in the way the story is told, it's so weird as he eats hot dogs. It's like, it's not just this, it's not your natural guy wakes up in future that's from the past. It does it in such a unique way, and it's so funny, it's so heartfelt, and they establish this plot line that that Seth Rogen's character creates this company, but then he gets ruined because all they come up with is his arrest because they got a fight over a billboard, and then so to help him, get off the graveyards, he wants to take down the billboard, so he sells pickles that were from the garbage and from the that were rained on, and I'm like, this is gross, but it's so weird, and I kind of like it. And so it just mixes in all these great stuff together that it's like, even when he punches himself, he's like, it's funny. It's not like, oh man, this movie just turned something crazy. This is not going to end well. It's funny. But this is going to turn out well, and it ends well in the end. So I loved American Pickle. Then we got Deep Blue Sea 3. And I think we got the other Deep Blue Sea movies, if I'm not mistaken, later on. But Deep Blue Sea 3, I thought was pretty entertaining, most definitely. And I'm probably gonna put it right here. It has entertaining action, and that's all I can really say about it. Then we got Words on Bathroom Walls. I thought this was actually a pretty good movie. It had a solid performance, and once again, I want a relationship like that where people can just get along, but also just have a good life. But even the way that certain situations happen and all that stuff, I just thought it was a good movie. You can go watch it for yourself. It's not available on anything as of right now, I don't believe, but it's a really good movie. Then we got, what's this movie down here? Oh yeah, I think that's Baby Ruby. Baby Ruby was a crazy movie, if I'm being completely honest. All right, Baby Ruby was a crazy film, crazy film, as it basically this mother has a baby, but the baby will never stop crying. And she can never go out, she can never sleep, because she just keeps taking care of the baby. And it's stressful, and it kind of correlates as to how mothers think when you're having a baby, that they think they're crazy. And it's like, it's pretty, stuff like this can actually happen. You can kind of tell stuff like this can happen in real life, so I honestly thought it was a very good film, so I'm going to put it in B, but it's going to go in between these two. Yeah. Then we get Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. I actually loved this movie. I thought it was another great experience of the Mission Impossible franchise, but not in the same sense of what I thought with Ghost Protocol and Fallout. Because there was just something about it that I just couldn't get into. That's like, I wish we had better hand-to-hand combat action sequences. The gunfights are good. They're good. But I just kind of wish the hand-to-hand combat action sequences, those are the ones I connect with. But yeah, it's still a great film though. And kind of connecting the Impossible Mission Force, the IMF, and how, what do the FBI think about the IMF? What do they think about that? And even casting Alec Baldwin to play in here is great. So I thought it was a really good movie. Speaking of Mission Impossible, we also have Mission Impossible 3, which was another really good, awesome film that I thought was just overall solidly done. That I just thought they used this was the film where I got hooked, where it's like a thrilling villain. Where it used the mask stuff in great ways, in great lengths. We're able to do cool stuff with it. but they also just provided really cool action, probably some of the best action since this film came out, and really cool stunts. So I thought it provided the best of both worlds. So I'm putting it in the B. Then we got, what's this one? Oh yeah, I think this is the first Annabelle, right? Yeah, the first Annabelle. It was a fine film. I couldn't really get into it as much, but it was okay. It was all right, you know. But I'm gonna put it in the I'll put it there. I'll put it there. Then we got Saw 2. I thought Saw 2 was good. I thought it was very good. It's not as good as the first Saw film, but it is pretty good. I'm going to put it in the B tier, but above Life Upside Down. I think it belongs there. Spree is a crazy-ass movie. I gotta tell you, I mean, this movie is crazy as this kid who, you know, this guy from Stranger Things, and he's basically picking up people, serving them water, but also telling them to follow, and, you know, what it's like for social media to be crazy on. And it's just, it's a crazy-ass movie. So overall, I absolutely loved it. I need to hurry quick because my phone is going to die soon. We have a couple more movies left. Unless I could... Hold up. Let me see if I can do something real quick. Okay. We're good. We're good. All good here. But yeah, Spree, I love it. It's a great film. Go watch it for yourself. I rewatched it this past week because it was its anniversary, 3-year anniversary. So, where I'll put it, I'll put it there. I'll keep it there. Then we got Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. It's a good movie. I wasn't crazy about it like most people. I think that, of course, Harrison Ford and Sean Connery's performance is good. But at the same time, I did not connect with it like everybody else did. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I liked it, but it wasn't my favorite. But I still really did appreciate it. I'm gonna put it there. Then we got Unhinged. Yeah, Unhinged. I forgot the title about it for a second. Unhinged was very good. It uses it's a road rage movie, and it stars Russell Crowe from, you know, Man of Steel, Thor: Love and Thunder, and it's a pretty intense movie as this guy who gets disrespected. She apologizes, but you only apologize because you're just being a little bitch. And then he just starts killing everybody she knows. And it's like, this guy is crazy to me. This guy is crazy. But he plays it so well, so off. And I honestly just love it so much. I'll put it here. I'll put it above Unbreakable. It's my list. Shut up. Then we got Barbie, Mermaid, New City, New Me, or whatever it's called, Big Dreams, Big City, Big Dreams, whatever it's called. I thought it, as the first Barbie movie that I actually saw, it was good. It was actually surprisingly good. The plot is simple. It's generic, but it's good. So as to where I would put it, I'm going to put it in surprisingly at the top. I'm sorry. I know, it's crazy. I like a Barbie movie. Alright, now we have Deep Blue Sea 2, and Deep Blue Sea 1. And I actually think the first Deep Blue Sea, the second Deep Blue Sea movie is my favorite of the Deep Blue Sea films. So for me, I'm going to put this one in the top of C, and then Deep Blue Sea 1, I will put at, I'll put it right here. I'll put it right there. Alright, so we're pretty much coming to the last section of this video, so let me just go ahead and check the times. Check the times. Alright, I meant to say sound. I'm checking the sound, and it's still good. Alright, now we have Megan, a film that I thought was pretty good. You know, the story was pretty generic. I thought there were some parts where I was like, why is this doing this? But then once Megan comes in and starts being a total creep and badass, it's pretty fun. Is it great? No, but I thought it was just a lot of fun, so I'm putting in B. Or actually, you know what? I'm putting it there. I gotta put it there. When I got Father's Day, my pick for Father's Day was not the best. It was pretty bad. I did not like it as much. It was just terrible. Why did I pick this movie? It was just so weird. It was crazy. You have people effing each other all over the place. It is just such a weird movie. So, as to where I would put it, I'm going to put it, yeah, I'm putting it F. Then we have Project Power. I thought that, you know, it was predictable, but at the same time, I did like it, though. I actually did like it a good bit. It wasn't the best, but I did like it. So, as to where I would put it, though, is the question. No. I'll put it there. I liked it more than There's Something Wrong with Your Children. Then we got Sharper. Another good thriller that stars, you know, Sebastian Stan. I think the kid from Detective Pikachu, though I never seen that movie before, but I know about the actors that are in it. And so yeah, Sharper is a good movie. I really enjoyed Sharper. And in the way that it told its story, in the way that the story exemplifies itself, and in the way that everything just plays out, Sebastian Stan's performance is really good. Overall, I really dug it, so I'm putting it in the B tier above Locksmith. Then we got Signs. Signs was a good movie. I thought Signs was a great movie. I can't say that it was the best, because it wasn't. Actually, it was the best. It was one of my favorites. I'd probably say it's going there. I just like that the stakes in it felt so real. And really just like, we're about to die from aliens. And so they're like all hugging each other, and it's like the way that they captured that was just felt so real to me. And I loved that. I really loved it. I really dug that. The Sixth Sense. I thought this was a really good movie. Possibly the second film after Wide Awake. That I got interested in after Wide Awake. The Sixth Sense, you know, it's like you have this kid who sees dead people, and you know, throughout the entire film you're like, what's he seeing? And then you get those two reveals at the end when he finally connects with his mom about that he sees dead people and he sees his mom, and then you get the big twist that Bruce Willis was dead the entire time, which is why when he goes and talks to people, no one is answering back to him. And it's terrifying, it's sad, but it's so well executed, and I love it so much. So you're going in I'm gonna put it there, yeah. Then we got Tesla. Tesla, not best movie. Actually, wait, you guys can't see that, can you? Yeah, it's right here. Sixth Sense, Prestige, Signs. Then we have Tesla. Ethan Hawke's performance is fine. Nothing special about it. I don't necessarily remember anything about it, though. So, I'm going to put an F, unfortunately. Then we got, The Invisible Man. This one actually won me back into the MonsterVerse films. Not saying I was out of it. I was still going to continue watching them. But I could not get into, like, the Islands of Lost Souls and all these other films and The Mummy, and then we get this one, and it just feels like a breath of fresh air, where it's just back to what I like about the monster films. It just reminded me of what I liked about Frankenstein and Dracula, where it tells us a simple story about these two characters, and overall, I dug it. I really, really dug it, and I just enjoyed it a lot. Where you have a character, he's terrifying, and he's threatening, and he's a threat, and I enjoyed that aspect about the film. So I am putting Invisible Man I'll put it here. Wait, what? Wait, no. Okay. Whew. Almost messed with my tier list there. Yeah, we're gonna keep Invisible Man right there. Yeah, we're gonna keep. Wait, I don't know. Wait, can you guys see that? Oh yeah, no, you can't. Yeah, we're gonna keep it right here. All right, now we have 4 more movies, and then we're gonna be done because it's been 2 hours thus far. We got Turtles Forever. So as you know, like Batman vs. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I watched other Ninja Turtles movies to get ready for Mutant Mayhem this past month, and Turtles Forever is just a nice combination of the Ninja Turtles multiverse, and it's just a really good movie. Great combination of these two shows, of the 80s and the 2003 show, and combining all these other different characters and having the both versions of Shredder threatening the Ninja Turtles multiverse, like, that's fun. And then seeing other versions of the Turtles characters like April O'Neil and Casey Jones. The only problem, I wish it would have been longer. I just wish it would have been longer to execute more of this stuff better. But I just think, because it was like an hour and 10 minutes, it could have been like an hour and 30 minutes, like Batman vs. Ninja Turtles was. But I still thought it was very, very good. And so for that reason, you are going in the B tier. Alright, now we're down to our last films for The Visit, Transformers The Last Night, and Good Will Hunting. So, The Visit, I thought it was a pretty good movie for M. Night Shyamalan. That twist, as soon as you get the twist that the grandparents are not the actual grandparents, you just feel tense throughout the entire thing. And I also love the way that it actually uses, like, video camera to film the film. It really does a lot of unique things, but it's good. It's fine. I'm going to put it there. And now we come to Transformers The Last Night. Now, I watched this film a couple days ago, and if you guys can't tell, I hated this movie. This lived everything that you guys said about this movie, of you guys hating it, I totally agree with you. And I'm so glad I can do that. I can do that now. Because it was terrible. And I totally agree. It was a bad film. Like, they did too much. They set up too many characters. They literally brought in characters they literally brought in voice actors that played animated characters in, like, Disney and Pixar films. Like, they brought in John Goodman and Steve Buscemi to play 2 Transformers, and then you have the return of Bumblebee back. Sure, the action is really good, and then they introduced, like, these dragon Transformers. I'm like, what is this, bruh? You even bring in the annoying Tom Kenny Transformer back. I'm like, what the hell is this, man? This is just garbage. And they even introduced Isabel Merced, who had good interactions with Mark Wahlberg in Instant Family, which I haven't seen the movie yet, but I've seen scenes of it. And overall, it just lives up to every expectation of what a bad summer movie is. So, of what a bad summer movie is, and honestly, it's just a pretty bad film. And then even exploring, and even having Knights in it, and having Anthony Hopkins into these films, though I will say Anthony Hopkins' performance is actually pretty good. He can act, and he can talk really well, so that is my thoughts. And finally, the last film we're talking about on this list of this entire video is Good Will Hunting. So, this is a movie that I actually watched with my family on Friday. So, if you guys can't tell, the reason why I'm doing this video now is because summer vacation for me ends today. I start school tomorrow, and this past week, since it's been my last week of summer, I've been stressing. So basically, my family was talking about, let's do a movie night. We're gonna go watch movies. We're gonna get snacks. We're gonna order pizza. We're gonna do all that stuff, and we're gonna watch a movie. Though the thing is, when it comes to picking a movie, we tend to have a hard time picking what movie to watch. And then we decided. And this past week, I've been watching a lot of Robin Williams stuff. Not like movies, but like scenes. Because if I watch new Robin Williams movies, then I'm just going to add more to my list, and I'll get more stressed out. But a movie that is known for Robin Williams is Good Will Hunting, and surprisingly, I was blown away by this film. As it's basically about, Matt Damon is a janitor in this school, but he's really smart, and but he also gets arrested. He's an orphan, and he gets put into foster homes, and he also gets bruised and stuff like that. And then you even have Eric Selvig in here, plus Ben Affleck, and Matt Damon and Ben Affleck did this film together. And this was like during Ben Affleck's like Daredevil days. And so the guy that plays Eric Selvig, Bill Skarsgård, I believe. No, wait, Alexander Skarsgård. Yeah, Alexander Skarsgård. He's in here, and he plays a young teacher, a young scientist math teacher, and he breaks Matt Damon's character out of prison to basically give him options. You can do the math, and you need to go to therapy. It's like, I'll do the math, but I'm not doing therapy. And every therapist he's given up because he doesn't want to do therapy. Sure, I'll do math, but I'm not going to do therapy because I'm not trying to dive into my emotional side right now. And then once you bring in Robin Williams, he's this therapist that he's not giving up. Sure, he mentioned something about his wife. He mentioned something about his painting, but he's still going to go and get him to do good and bring him to that emotional site. And it also just explores, like, even when that scene in the park, one of the best sequences, as he's like giving this speech where it's like, sure, you criticize my painting, but you don't know a single damn thing about life. You never know what it's like to hold your best friend's hand as he's about to die. You never know what it's like to hold your wife's hand in the hospital and waiting for weeks until she dies. It's powerful stuff. And then even them laughing, even the scene when they're laughing and the camera's shaking, I heard that was improvised, and it's actually pretty funny. And his performance in this film is really great, and it's one of the most different performances I've ever seen of him in a film than like Theodore Roosevelt at Night at the Museum, Aladdin, Miss Doubtfire, Jack. And then it also just kind of explores about, like, what do these people want? Because it's like, even all his friends, it's like, I don't want to, like, you're better than most of us. Like, I don't want to be seeing you. I don't want to be seeing you here. I don't want to keep seeing you exactly where you are. I want to see you succeed and go someplace else. And even admitting that he doesn't love the girl that loves him back, it's sad, but it hurts. And then even when it gets to the scene where he's like, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. And then he starts breaking, and he's like, stop taking everything so seriously. Stop hiding the pain. It's okay to cry. And the emotion in Matt Damon's performance is great. It was a great film. And honestly, I wonder, I'm pretty sure that scene from Good Will Hunting with It's Not Your Fault was inspired. That was the inspiration for what that scene in Family Guy is. This is a great movie. This is a great movie. I absolutely loved it. So for me, I am putting this one in. I'll put it there. I'm gonna put it there. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's at number 9 on my list. And there you have it. That is my list for retro movies. Yes, I talked about a lot of movies. The movie I didn't watch was Freedom's Path, but I can't do anything about it. But we are going to update this. We're going to post this on Twitter and share this on Twitter. Alright, so that is it. Let me turn the camera so y'all can see me again. And there you guys have it. That is my list for retro and summer movies. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All my social media stuff, they're in the About section on my YouTube channel. I will see you guys on Friday. And actually, you'll see me on Monday tomorrow, but I'm not really actually making those videos on Monday as we speak. They're technically premiered to be posting tomorrow. But that's it, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.